Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Hugh McDonald and Tam McManus are here with me on this Monday. Thank you very much for joining us, and of course, if you get some time in your hands, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll get all the notifications of our unique video content, as well as downloading the app as well, which will give you all the breaking football news, not only on the app, but if you go on the website, you'll see lots of features and lots of that video content that I've been talking about. As ever, Monday to Friday, 4 o'clock till 5, or at your own leisure, there's a chance to win something in the competition, and we also throw in a wee quiz question as well. And with that huge scoreline from Anfield yesterday, we thought we'd throw in a question regarding the man who scored 2 goals, Mo Salah. How many goals has Mo Salah scored for Liverpool against Manchester United? If you think you know the answer, then put it in the feed below. But we'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. As ever, what we did with the competition, Ruffy, is we've been sending out reporters, as you know, and we've been out and about ourselves right across Europe. With the Champions League and the Europa League. So we've picked up various bits here and there, and I think Kerry was in Warsaw, so we got her to pick up a top from somebody from Warsaw that might have actually played here in Scotland. So here's a chance for you to win this fantastic hoodie, among other things.
PLZ Soccer has another fantastic competition for you to enter. For your chances to win this Legia Warsaw Arthur Boric hoodie and the Legia Warsaw pendant, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which year did Arthur Boric sign for Celtic? Post your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, it's a chance for somebody to walk down Buchanan Street with a Arthur Boric hoodie on. Then let's hope he's getting good trainers.
Yeah, it'd be a great prize for someone and not so good for another one.
Yeah.
I think it'd want to burn it, but no, that's a great prize for a Celtics fan.
Not a bad goalkeeper, actually, with regards to taking penalties as well. Ruffy, I think he actually scored against Dundee United, put it in the top corner.
Top corner, it was one of the ones when he's standing there and you're waiting to see what he's going to do, and everybody's thinking, oh, he's just going to blast it. Right, top corner, just pinged it.
Did you ever take any penalties, Ruffy?
No, never.
Not good enough?
Never, ever.
No?
Never.
Good left peg,
no?
no?
The confidence to do it. You know, you're either a penalty kick taker or you don't. But what a legend he is in Poland, isn't he?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I'll never forget that day, Ruff. It was really funny with him, wasn't it? It was it was a mental day, you know. We were interviewing everybody trackside, and then once Arthur spotted us, everybody got a custard pie, and he just walked right over onto the live show. But he was they absolutely adore him there.
He's a strange guy. I interviewed him once, one-to-one, and I was talking to him about the Manchester United save from Louis Saha, and I said to him, you must have been really, nervous, and did you studied where Saha put it? And he looked at me and said, no, I knew I was going to save it. And I said, well, that's very confident. He says, no, I knew I was going to save it. And I said, why did you know? He says, my cousin told me. And I went, how did your cousin tell you? He says, he died 6 weeks before that in a car crash. And he just came to me before the game. He says, dive right and you'll save a penalty. And he went,
wow.
Okay.
That was a bit spooky.
My job here is done.
Can I ask you a question? What was the headline on that?
Oh, I can't remember. And he was the most laid-back guy in an interview I'd ever. He didn't like football, apparently. He didn't like playing goals. He wanted to be either a dancer or an ice hockey player.
Yeah,
wow.
And he didn't like vodka either, did he?
Yeah, and of course he didn't actually, and he also had a real brass neck on him, because at one of the dinners, I think he had a tribute dinner and I was hosting it, and all his family won the raffle.
God, magnificent.
And they came up and there was no feeling guilty about all the prizes. They just took them all back.
Took all back and whiz air back to
absolutely. It was so funny.
Here's the thing, Ruffy. Out of Celtic goalkeepers, where does he rank? I mean, you're obviously first. You were only there for a wee while, but you're number one. Where would you rank?
I always had Packy up there.
Yeah.
I think Packy was a great servant, and obviously. Oh, he's in the top 3.
Top 3?
Oh, God, aye.
You think so?
Arthur Boric?
I wasn't a big Fraser Foster fan.
No?
No?
No.
Right.
No.
Carol Muggleton up there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
top 10.
that's a great mention right out of left field there, Carol Muggleton.
The ones I was growing up.
Yeah, to be fair,
Who would you have first three then?
I wonder if you'd be top three. That's an interesting one, isn't it, Hugh? Because
sort of throw
and
it
they're
to
not
the rough,
that famed. They weren't as a club famed for goalkeepers, you know.
Ronnie Simpson won.
Ronnie Simpson's.
Ronnie Simpson's. Legend.
Well, Ronnie Simpson's got to be up there, Hugh, because he won an FA Cup medal with Newcastle long before he ever went to Celtic.
No, in the amateur.
He was with Queen's Park. He was 16 when he made his debut. But I just look at it. I'm interested. You're not a Foster fan, not even against Barcelona.
No, well, it's one game, you know.
What about David Marshall?
I just
Prefer Ian Andrews? Do you prefer him?
Yeah.
Tom's thrown away.
Dark time for
I'll tell you one thing. Craig Gordon's up there.
Yes, he's in my top three.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's your top three then?
Top three would be...
Ronnie Simpson.
What?
No, you're not putting Ronnie Simpson in?
I probably would put Ronnie in.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have Fraser Foster in.
No?
No.
Wow.
I think for a big guy like never came out for crosses or anything, or dominated.
What would you know about coming out for crosses? You never came out for crosses.
No, but I had other attributes.
Brilliant. You tell your shyness. Anyway, there's the competition for you. Good luck with it. And we've given you the quiz question. We'll give you the answer at the end of the programme. So much to talk about, of course. Celtic hammer St Mirren eventually. 10-man St Mirren, may I add. Rangers eased past Kilmarnock. The Dons defeat Jim Goodwin's Dundee United. You can give us your thoughts on that. And of course, Liverpool annihilate Manchester United in the English Premier League. So much to talk about. So let's get into the meat and bones of it. Rangers 3-1 against Kilmarnock. They have actually bounced back and gave the manager what they wanted.
Yeah, and I think it was important that they had particularly a good first half. I think we've seen all this stuff off the pitch with the supporters complaining about trophies and things, the style of football and the bringing players in and all that stuff, you know. So I think it's important they got it right on the park, and for the first half they did. Not the second half, unfortunately, so that will give more people to go away and have a wee moan about. But at the end of the day, they bounced back for a cup final defeat, and I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, of course, Michael Beale himself, I think fairly philosophical on, yes, it was a win, but overall not too happy with the way the season's panning out so far.
The story of the season is one of disappointment. I said that last week. I think that's fair to say. I think that's why the fans are sometimes in love and other times not in love with the team. That's fine. That's the same at every single club. But in the time that I've come in, I think we've made steady progress, not outstanding progress. I would like us to play with a bit more be more fluid. Can't even say the word. A bit more fluid. But that will come. But it will come. There's going to be a lot of change over time in terms of the way that we play.
I think Rangers fans are looking forward to Michael Beale's team when it eventually takes shape next season. But some Rangers fans unfurled a banner, a sequence of banners with a sentence basically saying, accusing the board of taking their eye off the ball. After 55 titles, you took your eye off the ball. Time for change.
For me, I mean, I never criticise for fans for having their views and saying their views, because they go every week, they pay their money, they're entitled to their views on that. I just think the Rangers board have been put in a difficult position, because they've had, they had to balance the books at one point.
Yeah.
And
they also had to throw the kitchen sink at stopping 10.
Yeah, and then they got that. Then they have to look at themselves, not just because they're giving in their own money all the time for what could be described as not great value shares, shall we say. But they also got, they've got an alert warning from UEFA on the financial fair play. They've alerted them, we're looking at this. So it's very, very difficult I think, to criticise the board. Yes, they've got things wrong. The recruitment's been poor. They've spent money poorly, whatever money they have. It only needs to look back to that great graphic that was put up about the League Cup final, where there was only 2 Celts still there, and there were 7 Gers players still there, and you go, goodness gracious, what a change and fluctuation in personnel and in quality as well. I mean, I think you're really stuck when you look at Rangers to say, you know, what has been an outstanding recruitment? Who have Rangers? And I'm taking Cantwell and Raskin out of this because they're just in the door. But you say to them, well, what kind of guys made a real contribution in the last couple of years that's been signed? And I'm great if viewers could tell me one, because I can't think of one off the top of my head.
Well, I think you've got to look at it and say almost certainly Bassey, because even for a short period of time where he was into, I mean, you're talking about a 7-month period where suddenly he set the heather on fire. Joe Aribo, I think, in there as a signing that they made money on. I think those two have to be credited. You know, if you go back a little bit further, you know, Kent and Morelos, when he's on form and he's not out of shape, have all contributed at some point.
They have, but the two you're talking about are the only two players that Rangers have got serious money for.
Yeah.
The rest of them, they've not got any money. I think over the last 2 seasons, it's a good point from who has been a standout for Rangers. You know, there's no many. And that was an interesting graphic where Rangers are still basically got the same squad as 2 or 3 years ago. That tells you the recruitment's been poor. You know, the guys are bringing in are not as good as the players that are already there. They're just playing the same players. And Celtic have totally rejigged it and they are better now. I thought it was interesting, I mentioned it in the show on Saturday, it was interesting, Rangers 3-0 up at half time. If that was Celtic, it'd be 5 or 6. You know, Rangers go in at half time, second half they come out and lose the second half 1-0. I think that's the difference between the two teams. That desire, Celtic 4-0 up away to Dundee United, easy to come out the second half and just knock the ball about, win maybe 4 or 5, 1-9-0. You know, 2-1 up, 3-1 up on Sunday, yesterday, 1-5-1. That's the difference, they go for the throat. And I've played against good Celtic Rangers teams when you're 2 and 3-0 down at half time, when they come out and you get leathered, it's 5 or 6. I don't see it with this Rangers team. I don't think
and that's part of it. That's a squad problem as well, because if you're
no competition for the players on the bench.
You're coming on, if you're a badder and you're coming on at half time because you're saying to yourself, I've got 45 minutes to get into this team. You know, I'm not coasting here. If I don't think there's very few certainties in that team. Well, certainly in the front 6. You know, they'll get 90 minutes, because even if you're not Hatate, we saw O'Reilly. I mean, people say, it's daft to say Hatate's not a certainty. Of course it is at the moment. But O'Reilly was a certainty. Everybody was saying, you'll never drop O'Reilly. O'Reilly's, you know, struggling to get a starting place now. So you can't take your foot off the pedal if you know there's a guy sitting in the dugout that'll come on and do a job.
Yeah, but the key point here, Ruffy, is quite simply that I would look at the League Cup final and say, right, I thought Celtic had the strongest squad, thought they were going to win, and I certainly wouldn't be judging Michael Beale on the squad that he's inherited. And I think his most difficult job, as I keep reiterating, is changing the squad, getting players out he doesn't want, and then making sure twofold that they're in touch with Celtic when the league starts next season, can't afford any slip-ups, so he's hoping his team gels quickly. And the second part of it is he's got to make sure they get from any kind of qualifier into that group stage of the Champions League.
Yeah, I thought you'd got to be given time. You know, I'm not surprised about the banners, but I don't think the banners help anything. They don't help, you know, keeping everybody together. They just put negativity out there. And sometimes I wonder about fans. I think Hugh touched on it. I think the Rangers fans are confused because they thought they'd seen all this pot of money that came in. You know, the Europa Cup final, the Bassey money, the Aribo money, and they obviously thought, right, there's a large amount of money there. Why are we not using it to bring better players in?
Yeah.
And the reason is because they owed so many people. There was so many people had to get paid back because of the run to the cup final. So you can't have it both ways. You know, you got to give a guy time, but sometimes I think some of the banners just knock you off your stride a wee bit.
Yeah, well, to be fair, it did knock the players off their stride because they won the match by 3-1. And when you look at the game, James Tavernier scored from the penalty spot, Goldson and Sakala. Of course, Dorset pulled one back for Kilmarnock in the second half. Norwich 50th penalty from James Tavernier. He's still got to score him. His scoring rate from the penalty spot is a top drawer.
Yeah, he doesn't miss many. He's usually pretty lethal for the penalty spot, and he took it well again. And as I said, his numbers for a right back in terms of goals and assists are phenomenal. And that is a modern day game. You know, the full backs, you want them to go and attack. There's not so much about defending now, and he is clearly better going forward than he is defensively.
I can't think, Tam, of anyone who's been more prolific as a right full back. Can you?
No, not in recent times. and not in recent times.
Even a left back, can you think of a right or a left back, even as a full back attacking, that's... I mean, Phil Neal took penalties, Ray Stewart took penalties, they were full backs. But other... Dennis Irwin, yeah, Dennis Irwin's a good shout.
He took good free kicks as well, particularly Leeds. I think Tam's nailed it when he says where full-backs are now. Full-backs now, you watch games now, when I was young...
High and wide, aren't they?
They're sitting in the halfway line. Their starting position is the halfway line.
Yeah.
That's when the goalkeeper's got the ball, the starting position halfway line. If you look at... I went down to watch Liverpool v West Ham, and there was one of these very high seats looking down, and I was really interested in watching Robertson because I hadn't watched him live for a while. So most of the game I just watched Robertson. And Robert's starting position at times is ridiculous. I mean, he'll never be deeper than the halfway line when Liverpool's got the ball. He'll never be deeper than that.
Yeah.
And if Liverpool got the ball, he'll be beyond the front three many times.
Yeah.
And they're running at the full-backs too. Well, you look at it now, I mean, there was a great start of the weekend about Robertson's assist rate at Liverpool, which is better than Hazard's assist rate at Chelsea.
Yeah, it just sums it up perfectly. We'll talk about his sublime pass a little later on in the show.
I mean, Peter, the boys have all had a wee chat before coming on the show, and we just noticed that we're into about 10 minutes of Scottish football show, and you've mentioned Liverpool 74 times.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I don't know, Ruffy. It says Scottish football show anywhere. I just thought these boys. By the way, I just say something to you, Ruffy. Because sometimes we get into what I call the school playground banter. Some doughball said Man United would beat Liverpool on the show, and then you're saying to yourself, come on.
He didn't say when though.
Yeah.
Above them in the table.
It's a very good point.
What was our quiz question last week?
The quiz question was a good quiz question. It was
7-1.
7-1.
Yeah, 7-1.
That was the biggest score.
What was the biggest scoreline between Liverpool and Man United?
There was Newton Heath or something.
7-1, 1895. So it was a huge game. But listen, Rangers won 3-1. They get the 3 points, reduce it to 6. The flip side of this is Derek McInnes. I think, yet again, I don't think Derek's, there's a few managers who don't miss the referees, and Derek McInnes is one of them.
Should get a penalty that we don't get, inexplicably. I don't know. I wish the referees could come and explain it. I do. I don't understand that, how we don't get a penalty, we then get a goal, and with 2 or 3 other things flashing across, it gives us encouragement. So we spoke at half time really about going and win the second half.
Well, they did manage to win the second half.
They did. They obviously came out, but that's what I was talking about earlier. That shouldn't be happening if you're a Rangers or Celtic. You 2 or 3 nothing up at half time. You should be coming out and standing on their throats and winning 5 or 6 and sending the fans away, happy. Fair play to Kilmarnock. They came out and they did. I thought they should have had a penalty. I thought it was a penalty. I thought he pushed them. He'd won a couple flashed right across the goal. They got their goal. Rangers clearly just took their foot off the gas the second half. But Kilmarnock's away form's got to improve for them to stay in the division. I think they've took 2 points all season away from home. That is dreadful.
I can't see them getting out of it.
That is dreadful, but that's putting real pressure on them to win games at home.
They'll be praying to the God of Dundee United to get out of it. That's the only, they'll be looking at, I think the most sober and realistic Kilmarnock fans would take 11th in the playoff spot at the moment. But they'll be looking at, there's a wee gap just creaked open there.
Well, it's 4 points, but at least Dundee United will have got a game in hand.
But
but then again, they're not that capable of winning it. I know what you're saying.
A game in hands at the top of the table, you say, well, that's 3 points. Game in hands at the bottom of the table, I don't know what you say.
No, you're absolutely right.
Kilmarnock 15 away games, 2 draws, 13 defeats, 6 goals for.
Yeah,
that's horrendous.
Where did that come from?
What he does is he actually reads every note that I've written down, or he looks at the table. No,
tinfoil hats.
The boys actually mentioned to me, is there any chance you could stop reading your notes? The other thing I was going to say to you, Ruffy, reduced to 6 points, and then some Rangers fans will be looking at the game the Sunday, St Mirren against Celtic. St Mirren get off to a great start inside 6 or 7 minutes. They've got a penalty. Was it a penalty?
It's handball. There's no debate now. If it hits your hand, it's a penalty. Doesn't matter whether your hand's in an unnatural position, whether you're actually behind you. You're still, if it hits your hand, it's a penalty.
Yeah.
And I think you've just got to deal with it now until they sort it out, and I hope they do sort it out. because I don't know where else he could have had his hand. He's close. It's just, we talk about it all the time. It's getting ridiculous.
Yeah,
really,
I thought it was a penalty. Did you?
Yeah, basically because of his hand.
His hand's away from his body.
If you look at it, people say it's a harsh penalty. I mean, there's been much harsher penalties given in Scotland this year for handballs. As Ruffy said, there seems to be no consistency in it, no reasoning behind it. They had the position where at certain times at the start of the season handballs weren't given, then they decided, we're going to go hard on it, and they went hard on it, and after the World Cup there was this narrative putting out that they're going to be a bit more relaxed. It's all over the shop. Yeah. I mean, the great thing about VAR was, the two things about VAR, everybody, I was completely against it, and everybody said to me about VAR, the two things it'll do is it'll stop all the arguments. Good luck with that. Yep. And the second one was, it'll help referees. What it has is just created more arguments, and it hasn't really helped referees. Indeed, I think it's shown referees to be very, very, very fallible and very poor. At the weekend, for example, there's just a string of, the Celtic penalty. You know where the referee was? He was yards with a good spot.
Yeah.
Why do you need...
Do you think that was a penalty?
Yeah. Nowadays, if the ball hits you in the hand, I'm agree with Ruff, the ball hits you in the hand's a penalty.
No, I thought you were talking about the second one. Was that a penalty?
Gogic.
The guy Dunn getting sent off. I really don't. I've looked at it and I can't come up with a definitive answer with that. I really can't.
I thought it was where the initial foul is, although I'm led to believe now that it's where
the contact.
The last point of contact ends. If that's the case, a penalty.
Why did we not see a VAR line on that? I never saw any VAR lines of when he pulled them.
I think
you usually get the 18-yard line, probably.
Why don't you let us see it like you do with the other ones?
He's at the mere there.
Another thing, this is stupid. It's stupid as well. See for the handballs. See for the handballs. That one, it's not deliberate, right? He's not stopping it getting in the goal. He's not stopping it for... why not just give a direct free kick? Why does it have to be a free shot at goal?
Well, there's an argument, Ruffy, that he stopped the ball moving into a dangerous area, so...
if you look at that one, and you look at, the Matt O'Reilly one, or the Burnaby one, that's the third least, the Matt O'Reilly one and Burnaby ones, they were really bad.
Yeah.
I don't
think that one was as contentious. I don't see it. I just thought it was a penalty.
I thought it was a penalty. Just kicked it into the box. His arms out, hits his hand. I thought it was a penalty.
Did you think the other one, Kyogo, was a penalty?
It's very, very difficult to tell. It's very difficult to tell where the actual contact stops.
Do you know why O was a penalty?
Because he blooming dragged him. Gogic dragged his jersey.
Yeah, but they were boxed in with that one. They were boxed in because a couple of weeks before there was a tug on a jersey. And I actually think there was no way they were going to get out of it.
Well, the whole thing now is you see things like, the Celtic goal at 2-1, the Johnson goal, did they look at that? Well, they would have definitely looked at it because it was a goal.
Yeah, I don't think Johnson got a touch on. I thought it came off his back.
I thought Johnson
was all over the boy.
Well, I don't mind that. I think that's okay. Back post header, you're going to be. There's a lot of stupid things. It's a contact game. But I just wondered, if they would have a look at that. I don't know. But you just look at every game. It's a real game change. Imagine if you're Mackay, you're sitting there and you've got a penalty. VAR takes it off you. Then your defender's booked and VAR says he gets sent off. Domino within 10 minutes,
Yeah. I think the one key element of this, though, apart from anything else, when we debate these penalties, the tug on the jersey, whether it was a penalty or not, and the other issues, is the fact that Celtic, when they win a goal behind, they are able to come back because their substitutes make such a big impact, as Ange Postecoglou alluded to at the end of the game.
You don't want to fall into the trap of just thinking it'll unfold naturally. We still have to work hard for it, but the beauty of this team, as I said, is that they're prepared to do that, and as I said, with the guys coming on, providing us the drive when we needed it at that point, I thought it was a really excellent performance.
Again, the one thing that I thought changed the game was Lila Bada coming on, because he's direct, he takes on players, he commits players.
Yeah, listen, he's a tremendous young player. His goals, his assists, his positivity, driving at people in the box. You've seen that with his goal. Just drives by the boy, too quick for him. puts it in the bottom corner. But that is the strength and depth that Celtic have got. You know, and that's the difference between them and Rangers at the minute. You know, you're bringing guys like that on who you mentioned earlier. You've maybe only got 25-30 minutes to make an impact, and you know you've got to make an impact because there's somebody else there waiting, you know, to come in and come on next week. So I thought that he was excellent coming on. He gave Celtic a spark, and it just shows you the hunger within that team. It was interesting, big Carter Vickers with a poor pass, and it shows you Ange at the side giving him up. I think the spirit in at Celtic is great as well. So no, they just motor on, and as I said, when Celtic went 2-1 up or 3-1 up, they just knocked the ball out playing against 10 men, but they wanted to go for 4 and 5.
Yeah.
And that is the difference. They step in teams' throats, they try and score. They scored 9 at Dundee United. Rangers are quite happy just to coast it, and that is the difference.
Yeah.
The depth is, you know, is really outstanding in that. You know, David Turnbull never got a sniff of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Turnbull, when Ange Postecoglou came in, I think everybody sitting down with a pen and paper and went, well, who will he keep?
He played all the time, didn't he?
He was going to keep McGregor. He's going to keep, you know, Turnbull. Turnbull was probably, in that really poor season, the failure to win the league season, Turnbull was maybe the best Celtic player.
Yeah.
And he's not getting a sniff now.
Yeah, they've got strength and depth. On the flip side of that game, of course, St Mirren now 6th, as Aberdeen have overtaken them by a solitary point after their win against Dundee United. Although, just a wee word on St Mirren, I do think they are one of those sides. I would love to have seen how the game panned out with 11 against 11, Ruffy, because I do think they're one of those sides who try and play football and have a go at Celtic at times.
Yeah, I think they've done particularly well. You know, he knows the big games he's not going to win, but the other games that they've played particularly well, and they've been good to watch. He started playing a couple of strikers up there, and that's what happens when you win games. You get a wee bit of encouragement. No, I don't see them ever in any difficulty at all. And the other good thing about it is he's giving young boys a chance, and I think the fans will always buy into a couple of young boys coming on and getting 10, 15 minutes or whatever.
Yeah, one of them actually who came on, and his name has completely and utterly escaped me. I did mention to my wife when he came on, I thought, that boy looks as if he's just left school.
Young lad Taylor.
I mean,
I thought it was Adam Binney.
Yeah, I mean, he was so small, but listen, I am of the opinion, you know, if you're good enough, doesn't matter what age you are, you know, if you're good enough to get on that part, doesn't matter what height you are, you only have to look at the Javis of the world to see that you can be small.
Especially in this day and age of football.
Yeah.
You know, because it's not the way football was, even in Tarn's day, when, you know, it was all, I mean, it's more athletic now, don't get me wrong, but it's not as brutal as it once was.
Yeah. And as far as Stephen Robinson is concerned, I don't think he's too downbeat about losing. He doesn't like to lose 5-1, but not too downbeat.
Wear you down, they move the ball, and you make tired decisions, and that's what we did for the goals, you know. So I have to be very clear now that we don't let that define our season. We're still very much in control of our destiny, and we reset the boys. There's no blame game here. Ultimately, I pick the players, so I'll take the blame.
Okay, what about Dundee United Aberdeen? Tannadice, not nice to see the Dundee United manager, looks as if he was pelted with coins, cups, you name it, pies that Ruffy has suffered before. Not good.
Did you get pelted with pies before?
Only by a manager, not by a fan.
Yeah.
All right. No, I think it was a massive game, obviously, for Jim Goodwin. You know, playing up against Aberdeen again. Obviously tight first half, and then Duke. When you want to speak about his goal, I mean, it's absolutely fantastic. You know, he ragdolls Edwards, I think it is, out wide, cuts across him, and then just to backheel into the net was sublime. It was a brilliant goal, one of the best goals I've seen all season. He has been a terrific signing for Aberdeen. Him and Miovski are very good up front. Both scored a lot of goals. So, no, I think when Aberdeen get their noses in front, you know, they're going to win the game. They get the second goal through McCrory. Dundee United to get one back, and then I think it was Watkins come on and scored a good goal to finish it off. So great result for Aberdeen. Barry Robson's doing a good job up there. You know, he's putting his name in the mix anyway to get the job full time. Whether he gets it or no is probably debatable. I don't think he will, but as I've said many times in this show, he's putting himself in the shop window now, and he's in there as a caretaker. They're doing well, and the only thing that soured it was Jim Goodwin getting pelted with coins and other objects, which is completely out of order. But you've got these idiots at every club, unfortunately, and as we spoke about on Saturday, that away supporters right behind the dugouts.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to pelt people with
Absolutely, and Jim Goodwin was well aware of that.
Was disappointed with the fact that there was coins and other projectiles getting chucked down on top of us. I have to say it is definitely just a minority few. There's always a few bad eggs who tarnish the rest of the club, because Aberdeen is a terrific club, one of the best supported clubs in the country.
Aberdeen have released a statement regarding the missiles that were thrown towards the Dundee United manager. The travelling support at Tannadice was impressive in both numbers and voice. Regrettably, a handful of those have impacted the reputation of that amazing support. They've let the club and themselves down. Pyrotechnics were ignited and thrown onto the pitch, with one narrowly missing Ryan Duncan. It's been reported that several objects were also thrown in the direction of Jim Goodwin. Inquiries have begun, and we are working together with Dundee United and Police Scotland. If and when the culprits are identified, they'll be dealt with by both the club and the authorities. Our plea to this minority is to continue to give the team fantastic support, but do that in a safe and respectful manner that doesn't endanger the health or safety of any player, staff or your fellow supporters. Here. That was the perfect way to look at it. As far as the overall performance is concerned, there's a few contenders for goal of the season. Sometimes a wee bit of sublime skill like that doesn't get the nod, but it certainly was well worthy of you mentioning it. It was a great goal, and much maligned. If that was scored anywhere else, it'd be on a loop right now in every other programme.
The thing about it is never pretending to be a top footballer. See the pace that he was running at to get into that position, and then to kind of stop and check and do that and complete it. The technical ability, and to have it in your thoughts, you're just chasing, you've chased down a centre half who slammed the ball against you, you've cut across him, you're running at full pelt, there's a goalie coming out, there's a guy coming to do the line. Yeah. So quick, and just to that quick decision. This is the way to knock it about. It was very much like you were talking about early, playground. It was what kind of goals you would score in the playground.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Gregor, who's a big Aberdeen fan, says Peter mentions the alleged coins before the performance. Well, tough. It wasn't that.
Fans would have been throwing coins too tight.
It wasn't a nice thing to do, and it was newsworthy. So, regardless of what position we mentioned it still wasn't good to see in the game. We don't like to see people abusing, whether it be through shouting, singing, or indeed throwing missiles. And Aberdeen quick to come out and obviously condemn it and highlight the fact that the majority of Aberdeen fans are good supporters. As far as the Aberdeen manager's position, still not any clearer. Chris Wilder suddenly back in the frame. Barry Robson's doing all he can with regards to Aberdeen, because he seems to have put a bit of fight into them.
Played brilliant football and nice football, no one more than me, but sometimes you've got to stay in the fight, and the pitches at this time of year don't let you play football. You've got a team fighting for survival, you've got a hostile atmosphere. I've been here a million times with good teams, good players, and you need to win. And you need to find a way to win, and we've done that. And we've done that in the last few weeks.
He deserves credit, Ruffy. As a caretaker in there, he might not be the ultimate choice, but he deserves to be there in some capacity, surely.
I was just going to say that there. I don't think he'll get the manager's job, but I think whoever does get the manager's job will be saying that you need to find something for him, to do. I don't know whether that would be a coach or an assistant or something. Because he has done very, very well. I didn't think he would have done as well as this with the position that we're in, but he has done something. He's offered something in there, so we'll just have to sit tight and see who it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Livingston 1, Hibs 4. It was a fitting way to pay tribute to Ron Gordon with that emphatic win. I didn't see it coming, to be honest with you, Tam, as emphatically as that, did you?
No, well, we both picked Hibs in the Predictor, so we both kind of fancied Hibs to win the game, but 4-1's, it's a great win for Hibs. They're in terrific form at the minute. 7 games unbeaten, 5 wins, 2 draws. Just when Lee Johnson was coming under a bit of pressure, they've put this run together. But their big test is coming up now. They've got Rangers and Celtic back to back, and that will tell you, I think, where they're going to finish this season. They're hanging in there in terms of third place. They're still 5 points behind Hearts. They go a goal behind. The weekend away to Livingston, you've got to show character and grit to come back for that. Big travelling support there. I think 3,500. So they showed character, they showed quality. They've got a striker now in Eli Johan who's banging goals in. I was critical of him at the start. I think he'd 1 goal in his first 22 appearances, and I think he's now got 6 and 5. So he's flying, and he was always a very talented player, but he's now putting goals into it as well, into his performances. So Kevin Nisbet come back, Kukurevich come back and scored, so all of a sudden they've got options up front as well. So no, I think it's a good time to be a Hibs supporter, and they go into a massive game on Wednesday where they always raise their game against Rangers when they come to Easter Road.
Yep, absolutely. And of course, out there at Easter Road, we were out today to get the thoughts of Lee Johnson.
Thanks, Peter. I'm stood outside the Hibernian training centre as I've just been speaking to Lee Johnson and Chris Cadden to preview Hibs' big Scottish Premiership tie at Easter Road against Rangers on Wednesday night. Hibs have been on a fantastic run. They've won 4 out of their last 5 unbeaten since that Derby Day disappointment against Hearts in the Scottish Cup. They're on fire and they're going to be bringing the game to Rangers. A lot of non-Old Firm sides have been criticised for not attacking them. You won't see that from Lee Johnson's side, and he thinks it's the perfect time to make a statement and lay down a marker.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do feel that. I genuinely do. I'm excited about the game. Not being disrespectful to Rangers, because it's a balance, isn't it? You've got to show a good side respect, but at the same time you've got to show them what you're about, and that's what we'll be doing. And hopefully that first 20 minutes will be electric.
Hibs' impressive form of late has them now sat at 4th position in the Scottish Premiership, just 5 points behind their big rivals Hearts in 3rd. That is an ambition of theirs to chase that down, but Lee Johnson firmly has his sights set on a European finish.
Well, I think Europe is a big part of our progression. There's no doubt in that. We want to be in that. I think the finances, for me, always take second stage to the fans' enjoyment. The product is the football, and the fan is the consumer. So we want the fan to come and enjoy themselves. We want them dusting their passports off, of course, to be able to go and travel in Europe and play in these games, and that's what we're fighting for. So we've got a clear focus this season. It's been a battle of a season, as we've discussed, but at the moment we're into a good phase, but we're also very aware we've got a very tough set of fixtures moving forward. So I think they got a saying in Russia, never relax, and that's what it feels like at the moment.
Okay, I wouldn't have quoted any Russian in the current climate, but nevertheless, Lee Johnson's always good. He's always good copy, and it could be an absolutely cracking match. Hibs against Rangers on Wednesday night. Rough, you're really looking forward to that one. Of course, we were talking the last couple of weeks the blow about losing McGeady, but it doesn't seem to have affected them.
No, and they'll be encouraged to get into the Rangers game with that result. And we keep saying it all the time when we look at Rangers and Celtic, where they're going to maybe drop points, whether it's a draw or whatever. The likes of Easter Road, Tynecastle, sometimes Pittodrie are the venues that it could happen, and I think that's what a lot of people will be saying at this moment in time. But generally, Rangers and Celtic put that to bed, and they've done it. They've done it at Tynecastle, so we'll just have to wait and see if they do it at Easter Road.
Yeah, David Martindale was sent off in that 4-1 defeat against Hibs. I think he was trying to explain away the gesture that he was making to David Marshall, and then he gets sent off.
I know, the Scottish football, isn't it? A terrific explanation for being sent off, saying he was only signalling 1 minute with his middle finger. I don't know how credible that was, but you get sent to the stands. Yep.
Yeah, you couldn't make it up in Scottish football, so we sent Kerry out to have a wee word with him.
Here at Livingston this morning, David Martindale will be preparing his players to get a win under their belt after going on a run of 4 straight defeats as they come up against Dundee United. But the Livy boss could be watching from the stands after being shown a red card at the tail end of their game against Hibs on Saturday. The Livy boss explained why he did what he did and what the context was, but still accepts full responsibility for his actions.
I went in and spoke to the linesman. I think the linesman's one of the better linesmen in the league, but at that point I'm frustrated. I never really took his point of view at the time, if I'm honest. I think I get what you're saying, but I said you've got to take it in context where the language used within the gesture. He said, but it's a gesture alone, and I never took that at the time, if I'm honest with you, but I had a debate with him, we had an honest conversation, we left, no animosity. It wasn't probably a wee bit later on, I was sitting in the house and I went, do you know what, I actually take it from his point of view, I understand where he's coming from, and I was in the wrong. Plain and simple, I was in the wrong. I shouldn't have done it, jokingly or not.
And after just 32 days since being sacked by Aberdeen, Jim Goodwin is now the manager in charge at Dundee United. David Martindale says it is a big risk, but he's happy to see Goodwin back in the game.
You know what, I'm delighted that Jim's back in the door, and he's took a huge leap of faith. And I think Jim's put his own name in the line here, because it would have been easy for Jim to sit tight and wait till the summer, restock, look at what's available. But do you know what? He's backed himself, and fair play to him, and that's Jim Goodwin for me. Jim Goodwin, he's courageous. He kind of manages how he played. He was very courageous on the park. He's fairly confident and he believes in his own ability. So fair play to Jim. I've got a good relationship with Jim.
Well, fair play to David Martindale for apologising, reflecting on it. Got it wrong. Move on.
Yeah, I think it's always a bit of banter, it's frustration, but I think when you're in a cold light of day, you think about it and you go, I shouldn't have done that. You know, as I said, there's obviously kids at the game and that as well, and it's just not a good message to put across. So it's a wee bit of banter that went wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Hearts, nothing going wrong for them at the moment. 3-0 win over St Johnstone, clean sheet, and a couple from Josh Ginnelly.
Ginnelly's the one, isn't he? He's the one that's almost like gone under the radar with the justifiable hype about Shankland. You know, Ginnelly's just coming out of the game. Hearts, I think the game was a wee bit tighter from what I could hear and read than the scoreline might suggest. But 3 goals, Ginnelly getting 2. And Hearts going forward at the moment have a bit of style and swagger about them.
Yeah, absolutely. Kerry Pollock was out there at the Orion because it's a cracking match coming up on Wednesday night. Hearts in Glasgow to take on Celtic.
Robbie Neilson's side are getting ready to face Celtic in a double header this week, firstly on Wednesday night at Celtic Park in the league and then secondly on Saturday afternoon at Tynecastle in the Scottish Cup. But the Gorgie boss says one of the most challenging things about Celtic is their firepower and their ability to sustain it throughout the 90 minutes.
You know that technically they've got some very good players, you know, so if things aren't working out they can make changes and, you know, get that fresh impetus. You know, you look at the majority of the teams within the league that if it gets to 70 minutes and you're make changes, the quality of your squad, your starting 11 is coming down, whereas Celtic generally will go up, you know, and that's always a difficulty against them. You see them, you know, towards the end of the games because they, you know, they can now make 5 subs, that their quality goes up, whereas the opposition quality goes down when the subs come in.
Preparations for the summer transfer window are already taking place at Tynecastle. Robbie Neilson is making up his mind about which players he would like to keep at the club, one of them being Robert Snodgrass.
Yeah, we've spoke to Snoddy, so with Snoddy it's really down to kind of Snoddy in this one, you know, because the age he's at as well and with his family and everything on base, but I'd love to keep him here because he's been outstanding.
Oh, I hope he stays. He's a joy to watch.
He's a good player to watch.
Yeah.
He's a good guy as well, but he's a good player to watch.
Yeah. Yep, can't argue with that, Ruffy. We need players who can just lift their heads, make passes look simple. You know, he makes a 10-yard pass look just as easy as a 40-yard pass.
Yeah, he had one last week. I can't remember who they were playing, but he charged into the box and you're just waiting on him having a shot, but he obviously so quickly realised the shot wasn't on, but somebody at the back post was on.
Crossed it to Shankland for the header off the post.
He just dinked it right over everybody onto Shankland. You know,
Yeah.
that just shows you experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Ross County nil Motherwell 2, 2 Kevin Van Veen goals, 17 goals in all competitions. Tam?
Yep, he's a massive player for Motherwell. There's no doubt about that. Without him, I dread to think where Motherwell would be. There's no one really else chipping in with goals at the minute. They're very reliant on him, but he's banging the goals in. 17 goals. He's scored a lot of goals since he's come up here. He's been really good signing for Motherwell. Great result. He scored a hat-trick I think earlier in the season at Ross County. He loves playing against them up there. 5 in 2 games against Ross County at Dingwall this season. So no, I think that just lifts them 10 points clear as well. A bottom spot. They'll be looking to try and push into the top 6. I think there's still, you know, I think you've got Celtic, Rangers, Hearts, Hibs, Aberdeen, but I think there's one spot there. Livingston are in a poor run at the minute. There's one spot, Livingston, St Johnstone, St Mirren, maybe even Motherwell can maybe sneak into there. So I think they'll be looking up rather than down now.
Just briefly, was there a sending off, Fitzwater?
I thought it was a poor tackle. I thought it was poor. I can see why he's gave the red card, and it changes the game. It totally changes the game. That was at 0-0.
Yeah.
You know, and that gives obviously Motherwell impetus to go and win the game. But I thought it was a poor tackle. Yeah. I think that's a couple of times he's let them down this season with red cards. It
was an absolute stone wall red. Yeah. I don't know what the referee was thinking.
Hold on, Ruffy disagrees with
watching the wrong telly.
Yeah.
Do you think it was, Ruffy?
No, I think he actually. This is my interpretation of it.
Okay.
I thought that it was a wee touch, and the striker, being the striker, decided that's enough for me to get in. So he stubbed his foot in the blinking AstroTurf and went in.
Yeah, even though it was grass.
It's grass at Ross County.
Yeah. but he still stubbed his foot in it.
And there was a kick across the knee rather than a pull back.
I think he looked at it. I think he looked at it and then was told to have a look because of the position of him, going in and goal.
The point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't matter if there was 16 players behind him. I thought the tackle itself was high, reckless and late, and it should have been, no matter if he had the mass Dragoon guards behind him, should still have been a sending off.
Okay, Ross County have appealed the red card shown to Jack Baldwin in the match against Motherwell, so it's as simple as that. This is what Malky Mackay made of it.
VAR clearly gives 9 minutes injury time today. It's for a reason, because Liam Kelly was time wasting the whole day, and we said it first 15 minutes and they said yep, we're looking at it and VAR will add the time on. Now that's not good enough, because momentum in games is killed, and that's why he's doing it.
Okay, not a happy man. One man who was happy up there was, of course, the manager, Stuart Kettlewell. He knows what it's like to play for Ross County, manage them. Of course, he's got lots of friends up there, but he certainly wanted to win with Motherwell.
And as I said before the game, all the friendships and everything are there. I'm speaking to a lot of people kind of before, during and after the game, shaking hands and all the rest of it. But I wanted to beat them and they wanted to beat me. So it's that simple. We'll now probably go and have a cup of tea or whatever it might be after the game. And as I say, those friendships don't change. But, I'm paid to do a job, as are they.
Yeah, Phil Marchton, he's got 10 points from 12 on offer. I can tell you, news just in from David Martindale, he says, he's offered an apology. I just want to put on record my disappointment at my own behaviour from the weekend. I need to remember that my behaviour has an impression on supporters, and I'm the one who sets the standards here at the club. It was a light-hearted joke with David Marshall at the time, but I can see that it can be construed otherwise without being privy to the context of the words used with the gesture. I offer my genuine apologies to anyone I offended with the gesture, and with the benefit of hindsight, I can now see how foolish it was. Okay, fair play to him. He said sorry. We move on. Look at that table. Assess it, Ruffy. Ross County desperately trying to get wins. Kilmarnock down there. Dundee United down there. And as Tam mentioned, Motherwell with that cushion that could be oh so significant.
Well, it just shows you how important it is when they all start playing each other. I think Motherwell proved that at the weekend. If they'd lost that game, it could have been the other way, but it wasn't, and they've drawn away. And it'll be interesting, every fixture that comes up and until the split will be really, really important.
And as David Martindale mentioned last weekend to me, Tam, getting up there, getting every point you can means money. It might mean an extra couple of players. Getting into the top half, so crucial.
Yeah, as for a club like Livingston, it might be the difference between them offering someone a 2-year deal instead of a 1-year deal or a 6-month deal. So massively important. They've hit a bad patch. I thought they were nailed on for the top 6, but they're letting some other clubs back into it. We're a bad run at the moment. So yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting from out the end of the season. Dundee United need to start picking up points because that 4-point gap cannot afford to grow even bigger.
Yeah, who goes for you? Is it still Dundee United?
I think it is Dundee United. And with Kilmarnock, I think Kilmarnock will be the bottom 2.
Do you think Kilmarnock can win the playoff?
I don't. I think that it's always stacked in favour of the Premier League team, Peter, because of the way the playoffs are. I think they've got to play 6 games or something before you get to the final. It's really, really difficult for the team, the Championship team, particularly ones that finish 3rd or 4th. So I still think they'd be massive favourites to stay in the division if they're going to play off.
Okay, let's have a look at the predictor and see what kind of weekend everybody had. So Ruffy, you're on 243, Tam's on 241, I'm on 237, and then it's a long way back for Alison on 214, Tam Cowan on 201, and Hugh McDonald on 190. You're still within touching distance, Hugh. You're still playing I'm
the only one in the hundreds, which I'm quite proud about. That's quite unusual.
Mathematically, you can still win it, by the way. You think about it small.
Just in case you want to do a press release, mathematically, you can still win it. I just thought I'd tell you.
Okay,
that's the Scottish Premiership for you. You can give us your your thoughts on the games? Who's going down? Who's going into the playoff? Will they eventually go down with the relegated side? What about the top half of the table? How many? I think everybody is picking now who they want out of their squad, who they want to, how many players they think they need, and we will probably now in March, Ruffy, in the next couple of weeks, start to formulate in our minds who we think is going to be the player of the year, young player of the year, manager of the year.
Yeah, we're talking about the sports writers one, not the players one.
No, we don't talk about the sports writers one. We do when we get to Hugh, but we talk about the players.
Players. So how will the players vote? I would say the majority would be Celtic players at this moment in time.
Okay. Do you think that will differ from the football writers, Hugh?
No, I don't think so.
No.
I think, the football writers always seem to, I think most shortlists do, make a point of going outside to make it more representative of the league as a whole. Outside Celtic, I think you've got to put Lawrence Shankland in. I think he's a good season. Maybe one of the Hibs players, if they push on, could go. Duke's still got half a season to get in and amongst it.
Van Veen, Miovski.
Yeah. I think it will be Celtic players to win.
He's not having Duke. You're not having him?
I'm not having any of the ones that he mentioned.
No?
In fact, I know he doesn't gamble, but I was going to have a wee bet with him that none of the three I mentioned.
Yeah. Well, you're in a really argumentative... Do you want me to tell you something? At the weekend, he was fighting with people. We were out together. He was fighting with people. It was unbelievable.
73 years it's taken to grow a backbone.
if any, and I accuse every opinion the right to mention them, but if any of them jump above Callum McGregor or Hattati, I'd be gobsmacked.
I think it's going to be a Celtic player that wins it, I think. But and I think if you're talking about an outsider in the Celtic, I think Moy will be in the frame as well.
Yeah, is there a young player that's out with that we might have to look at?
Who would be a young player of the year this year?
Is that under 23?
Yeah. It's a good call, isn't it? It's a tough one.
Yep.
Need to get our thinking caps on with that. That's the next couple of weeks anyway. I'm just saying to you, that's the way our minds will be straying towards that shortly. Down south, there was just one game that everybody is talking about, and it's quite simply
the Brighton game.
Absolutely. I mean, nobody can believe it. 4-0 against West Ham.
David Moyes.
And a lot of the Brighton and the West Ham players went in and said, we can't wait for the Liverpool game because Liverpool hammered Man United 7-0. And what do you know about football? You were emphatic on here on Saturday. Man United will win.
I couldn't care less who won that game.
No.
I just said 4-0 to Man Utd. I know you.
Did you watch it?
Yes.
It was a good game, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. I don't think anyone's seen that after 40 minutes. I thought Man United were probably the better team, but Liverpool were ruthless. I mean, it seems as if every time up the pitch they scored. I think they had 8 shots on target and scored 7.
It's ironic that you and I mentioned that in our quiz on Friday as well, isn't it?
It was 7-1. That's just beat that. So I think it's a one-off. I think it's a blip for Man United. But it was interesting to see some of their players reacting when they were 4, 5, 6, including their captain Bruno Fernandes.
He's not a captain, Ruffy,
he's not captain material.
Yeah, I'm not having it.
Gone down. Guys like Roy Keane and all that must have been sitting in the studio going,
I'm not having him, Ruffy, are you?
No, he's not, and he's touched on it, one Roy Keane, but you could name another 5 or 6 that were real captains.
Yeah, Steve Bruce. Absolutely. They would not be like
Brian
Robson.
Brian Robson must have looked
feigning
at
an injury when a guy hit him in the chest, down holding your face. That's what you do.
To be fair though, when you think about the greats down through the years that have played for Liverpool, he's now at the point where you would be hard pushed, and I've named my all-time 11. You'd be hard pushed to keep him out of it now. He's really pushing to get into your 11, wouldn't he?
Who's this?
Salah.
Oh, aye. I mean, at one point, if you're playing 3 up front, I mean, I go back to Billy Liddell. That's how long I go back. Billy Liddell's probably second. He was once voted the second greatest Liverpool player ever. But I mean, if you're talking about up front for Liverpool, I mean, Dalglish and Rush are certainties. I just can't see past them. But there's other really strong, and Salah comes in. I suppose if you went for a front 3, you would shove Salah. But Mane, who's just left, what a player Mane was for Liverpool.
Yeah. And funnily enough, it's taken them a wee while to try and get the blend where Núñez is suddenly somebody that everybody is warming to.
Yeah, but I always liked, one thing I liked about Núñez all the time was you could see what he was about.
Yeah.
You could see he was big, he was pacey, and he was strong, and he was willing, and you could say, do you know what, his finishing's not the greatest, but he'll be all right. You know, he'll do okay. They paid an awful lot of money for him as well.
Yeah.
But Liverpool's recruitment generally has been excellent. Jota's been a good recruit from them. Gakpo's been a great recruit. I think the interesting backstory of this to me would be if I was writing a piece after the game on it today, I'd be sitting down and saying, right, what's the Bellingham factor here? Because everybody's after Bellingham. And Liverpool really need a revamped midfield, probably need 3 midfielders.
Yeah.
And Bellingham, you would have thought, might have been drifting away from Liverpool to Man City, to maybe Real Madrid. And I think that now puts Liverpool back in the frame. He'll be looking and say, do you know what?
He's still getting the Champions League incredibly.
He could still play Champions League, and that's. I mean, these guys don't want to even take a season out of the Champions League, Peter. They don't want to take a season out.
You're absolutely right. I mean, the high was Jurgen Klopp, and we've thrown in Ten Hag to catch the low on how both managers felt at the end of the game.
It's unprofessional, but I think it's a huge difference. In Brentford, we were 4-0 down at halftime, so we started the game very bad. Today, first half, I think we were the better team.
Freak result, top performance, really top performance from the start. I thought the way we started the game was really special. It was one of the best. For a long time we were there, we were aggressive, but we played football, we were calm in the right moments, super lively, super active.
Yeah, great performance from Liverpool. Mo Salah scored 2 goals, that takes him above. Robbie Fowler is the all-time top Premier League goal scorer. Still got a way to go with a few in front of him who've scored more goals than him now. But how many goals has he scored against Manchester United?
I've just been guessing 16.
16.
I'd go fewer, 9.
9?
13.
13, okay. Hugh, very close, 10. So there you are, that was the answer to the quiz. Here's a chance for you to get involved in our new competition this week.
PLZ Soccer has another fantastic competition for you to enter. For your chances to win this Legia Warsaw Arthur Boric hoodie and the Legia Warsaw pendant, all you have to do is answer this simple question. Which year did Arthur Boric sign for Celtic? Post your answer in the comment section below, and to double your chances of winning, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and join us on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck. There's lots of great content that we've been producing over the last few weeks. It's well worthy of looking on our YouTube channel. Adam Binney's got a great interview with Sam Wardrobe, who's a YouTuber and TikTok man, who is giving us insights into not only training, nutrition, and of course the skill factor of playing football. It's well worthy of having a look at that, and lots of one-to-ones, including of course this year of all years, where Hugh and I will indeed delve into it in greater detail the closer we get to it. The Gothenburg greats, Alex Ferguson's Aberdeen side winning the Cup Winners' Cup and the Super Cup. John McMaster is taking us back through his memories and all his medals as well. Well worth a watch. Download the PLZ Soccer app. You'll get all the breaking football news. But today, thank you very much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you can. We really would appreciate you joining the football family. Don't forget, stream, share and subscribe. From Ruffy, Hugh, Tam and myself, Peter Martin. Thanks for watching.
Happy birthday, Dad.